Kakbhushundi arrived under the banyan tree, mentally invoked Sri Ram, and then commenced the evening story session. Rishi Vishwamitra, accompanied by Ram and Lakshman, set off for Mithila. It was a grand and imposing city ruled by Raja Janak, who had a very beautiful daughter called Sita Devi. Many princes and kings wanted to marry her, but Raja Janak had laid down one condition. In his palace was a huge bow that had once belonged to Lord Shiva. Raja Janak had declared that only the one who could break that mighty bow would be a worthy husband for Sita Devi. At this point, a curious young bulbul had a question. Why had Raja Janak laid down such a condition? Was it physical might that made a person most worthy? Of course not, said Kakbhushundi. There is a story behind that bow. It had been in the possession of Parshuram, who is also an avatar of Bhagwan Vishnu and who appeared at the same time as Sri Ram. Bhagwan, after all, can take any form and also numerous forms at the same time. So once, said Kakbhushundi, continuing with the story, Parshuram happened to visit Raja Janak in Mithila. From there he went on to the forest to do tapas, and he left the bow in the safekeeping of Raja Janak. While he was away, the bow one day disappeared from its usual place. After searching for it everywhere, it was discovered that little Sita had lifted that huge and incredibly heavy bow and placed it somewhere else. Everyone in the court was amazed at what had happened, and Parshuram realized that this little girl was no ordinary child. She was Shakti, the creative potential of Bhagwan. Therefore, she could be given as a bride only to an avatar of Bhagwan. That is why Parshuram had suggested to her father that only one who could break the bow would be a worthy husband for Sita Devi. In other words, only an avatar of Bhagwan would be able to break that bow. Kakbhushundi noticed that a little parrot in front of him was hopping about in excitement, dying to ask a question. So Kakbhushundi nodded to him. You said, began the parrot, that Bhagwan can take any form he likes. Did he ever take the form of a bird? Yes, he did, replied Kakbhushundi. Bhagwan once came in the form of a swan, a Hamsa Pakshi, to teach the highest meditation to the 4 mind-born sons of Lord Brahma, called the Sanat Kumars. That teaching is famous as the Hamsa Gita, and it is part of the Bhagavad Puran. But why did Bhagwan choose the form of a swan to give his teaching? Honked a swan in the audience. According to the scriptures, explained Kakbhushundi, the special feature of the swan is its ability to separate milk from water. In other words, the swan represents a discriminative intellect that can distinguish between the fleeting worldly pleasures on one hand and the abiding peace and bliss of the eternal Atman on the other hand. Only one with this discriminative ability can turn his back on the world and absorb his mind in the highest self. But the point to note, emphasized Kakbhushundi, is that Bhagwan does not consider us birds as inferior creatures at all. Even Lord Shiva once took the form of a swan and came to listen to my story. Saraswati Devi, the goddess of knowledge and the arts, rides a swan, and you may be very pleased to know that even human sannyasis of a very high order are called Paramahamsa sannyasis. The birds looked at each other with awe and pride. But then Kakbushundi discerned a few disappointed faces in the audience. He had spoken only of swans, and the other birds looked somewhat downcast. So he quickly elaborated on this theme. Kamdev, the god of love, he said, has a parrot as a vahan, while his wife Rati Devi sometimes rides a pigeon. Kartikeya, the son of Shiva, who is also known as Murugan, uses the peacock as his vahan. All these birds are great sevaks of the Devtas. This information was received with many clicks and clucks of approval. Then, coming back to his story about Lord Shiva's bow, Nagbushundi described how years had gone by and no one had succeeded in breaking Lord Shiva's bow. Now Raja Janak had organized yet another special function for this purpose. Numerous kings and princes from far-off lands had arrived for the event. And it was at this point that Rishi Vishwamitra, along with Ram and Lakshman, reached Mithila, also known as Janakpuri. The citizens of Mithila were struck by the good looks and regal bearing of Sri Ram and Lakshman. Raja Janak welcomed the Rishi with great honor and reverence and could hardly take his eyes off Sri Ram. Raja Janak was a highly evolved person. He was a Raj Rishi, which means that he was both a Rishi and a king. In other words, he was a spiritually enlightened monarch. And it was obvious to him that Ram was not an ordinary human being. He was clearly a divine manifestation, and Raja Janak's heart was deeply stirred. But now night was falling, and the evening story session had to come to an end. As you can imagine, nobody felt like flying off for the night. But then there was the next evening to look forward to.